I was watching Rocky Kanaka. He was with this pit bull that was so emaciated it just broke my heart, and I just couldn't walk away. Sorry. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. So, welcome to the locker room. I appreciate you being here. I had a weekend from I don't know where. It started out awesome. I'm trying to like my own page and I can't do it. I just lost it. Go back. Go back. There we go. All right, now I'm in. All right. So anyway, yeah, it started out as a good weekend, and then it ended up. I found peaches on my peach tree, and some of them are starting to turn orangish color. So that was good. That was good. Um, we had a great. My daughter hosted a great birthday party for her daughter, and I was really happy when that happened. And then we took all the kids to the mall and had a great time. And yeah, we took CJ on the 4th of July over to the park and shot off fireworks. And it was just, we had a weekend. So, okay, now we have a lot to talk about today. I'm hoping. Hi, H. Davis. Thank you for your recommendation for my name change. I'm thinking about changing my name, my screen name. It just got to me a little bit. I let somebody get to me because she said that my name was stupid, and she doesn't understand the meaning. She called me a welfare page and a goodwill page and everything else like that. And then she told me, she started calling me get liquored. And I don't drink liquor. I don't drink anything except soda and tea and water. So liquor is totally off the table. And so that's why I'm trying to find a new name. It's a good idea. I don't know that I'll use it. I have more than one. You saw what Reality posted. I don't know. I'm still thinking on it. It's a good idea though. I want something that has to do with honesty. And your H. Davis gave me the where did it go? All right, I lost it. My community. All right. H. Davis said, I think it should be called All About Different Things with Get Lockered. That's a good idea. I like that. Reality also said headlines with Get Lockered. So I could combine the two and say headlines about good things, about different things with Get Lockered. Could. But if I change I wouldn't have to change my email address. It could still be Get Lockered. Because my thing is, if I change in my email address or anything, my husband has to go in and change a whole bunch of stuff on my website. and he doesn't like doing that. So I have to talk to him about changing my whole YouTube name. But yeah, it bothered me that I was told I was just I shouldn't have let her get to me. I was wearing my heart right there. But I've been thinking about it for 3 or 4 days since this happened. And I stayed off YouTube. You been on vacation? I took a weekend and went to Arkansas. It was my granddaughter's birthday. So her mama made her homemade cake. The cake didn't turn out as well as we had hoped, but the love was there. So, and it was a new recipe. It's not anything the mom did. Her mom did a wonderful job. The cake turned out perfect. We just didn't like one of the toppings that they said to use on it. And that just kind of, yeah. So, but it was a good time. We had watermelon, we had barbecued chicken and barbecued hot dogs. That's good. That's because I messed up the recipe. Okay, I messed up the recipe. And I asked her to put pudding in the cake mix because to make it more moister. And then when she put all the stuff on top of it to help it get moister, it got too moist. But yeah. So I messed it up. But it was still pretty good. It was a good time. It was a good time. Her husband did a good job cooking the food, and the girls all had a great time. CJ had a great time. Everybody had a great time when we went to the mall, and it was just a good time. All right, so let's get into what we're going to talk about today. Oh, H. Davis, did you have a good vacation? He might have popped out on us again. All right. I'm going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up. And then we'll get into it. Now, everything, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Everything that I found today, I found on X. So we're going to cover like 3 different cases, but it came from on X. And this first one, it was on Jennifer Coffindaffer's X account, and then it switched me over to the Mirror. So I'm going to link it in the there we go. And it says incel, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Incel Koberger's serial unaliver traits and fixation with victim Madison Mogen, according to the ex-FBI agent. Brian Koberger was described as an incel. I don't know what, I didn't look up that word. Hey Siri. What is an incel? INCEL?
Okay, I found this on the web for what is an incel. Check it out.
It says collapse. It's on celibacy, online community, or identity. Okay. So I guess it's like an introvert. So Brian Kohberger was described as an incel with serial unaliver traits by former FBI agent, who also described the way he fixated on Madison Mogen, one of the victims. It says Brian Kohberger likely targeted Madison Mogen and was an incel with serial unaliver traits who was fixated on her. And that's the same thing, told the Mirror. A former FBI agent labeled Brian Kohberger as an incel and described how he was fixated on University of Idaho victim Madison Mogen, which ultimately led him to unalive her and 3 other students in their off-campus home. Brian Kohberger also exhibited the types of behavior you would see with a serial unaliver. Ex-FBI agent, special agent, and longtime expert witness Jennifer Coffindebber told the U.S. Mirror. I'm convinced that he was what I term as an incel, an individual, correct meaning. Was I wrong? Incels are heterosexual men who blame women and society for their lack of romantic success. All right, this is what Manda Panda said is the correct meaning for incel. Incels are heterosexual men who blame women and society for their lack of romantic success. That makes sense. That makes a lot more sense than what Siri told me. So thank you very much for that. Okay. An individual who is involuntary celibate because they cannot attract the person they hope to attract, Coffindaffer said. Inside of them is a certain maniacal anger. Kohberger was accused and pleaded guilty to sorry, I needed a little bit of air. To unaliving 4 University of Idaho students in the early morning hours of November 13, 2022 in Moscow, Idaho. Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. In a change of plea hearing on Wednesday, which was designed for Kohberger to change his plea to guilty so he could accept a plea deal that would spare him the unalive sentence, he admitted to the unaliving, and prosecutors walked a horrified courtroom through the timeline of what happened. Actually, I think the prosecutor told what they were planning to prove had he not chosen guilty. Okay? I could be wrong. Kohberger is slated to be sentenced for his crimes, which include 4 counts of first-degree unaliving and a count of felony burglary, on July 23 at 9 a.m. local time. Now, I think I have a doctor's appointment that day, but I'm not sure. So that week, I have doctor's appointments like every day for something. 2 of them are, I think I have a dentist appointment, a doctor's appointment, and then I got to take a friend whose foster child has to get her braces taken off. I've got to take her to the orthodontist. So she's had braces on since she was 8 years old. She was in a car accident, and they never took the braces off. The true motive, Coffindaffer theorizes, was to really get back at all those he felt in society turned their backs on him. the beautiful girls and popular boys, the people he was invisible to. And Madison Mogan was the paradigm of that mental image he had of his detractors. I think his target was, and I've said this for years, was Maddie Mogan. Coffindaffer said she was gorgeous, she was slender, she was popular, and I think that he fixated on her. The other victims, Zana Kernodle, her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, and Kaylee Gonzalez, were simply collateral damage. Most were in the wrong place at the wrong time, she argued. I don't think he had any anticipation that Maddie would be in the bed with Kaylee. She was the quintessential woman to be coveted, and I think he had his sights on her and hoped to go into that room and attack her, she explained. Gonsalves said she had already moved out and came back to the home. Gonsalves, she said, had already moved out and came back to the home with a brand new vehicle that was unknown to Koberger. Despite the surveillance he had conducted, Koberger wasn't expecting her to be there. Well, that makes sense. He also wasn't expecting Kernodle to wake up and go to the door to pick up her DoorDash order at approximately 4 a.m. She stumbled upon him and he killed her. She also split Chapin's throat and as he slept, not anticipating that he would be in the room. Prosecutors on Wednesday ruled out the actual component of the crime, telling a Boise, Idaho courtroom during Koberger's change of plea hearing that he found no evidence of X crimes, but Coffindaffer believes there was a actual component to the crime that Koberger was never able to act out due to other factors, namely other victims being in their home. Coffindaffer argued that Koberger exhibited serial traits throughout his youth and that there were signs that he could be a psychopath, a cold-blooded unaliver in the making. He definitely exhibited the types of behaviors you would see in a serial unaliver, she said. He had no empathy. That's one of the first things you look for. And when you look at Brian Koberger, he himself, he said he didn't have empathy. He himself said he could not feel for his father, as an example. She noted that he was also detached, adding he could never attach to anything. He didn't have close friends. He wasn't close to his family and wasn't close to his sisters. He didn't have friends. I think my daughter said that was dissociative disorder. Is that right? Is it dissociative disorder? I think that's what she was talking about. It becomes a dangerous combination when you ever see detachment combined with no empathy combined with being essentially pushed out of society, she said. What Koberger wanted was acceptance, she said, and he wasn't getting it. And that may have pushed him over the edge to turn to murder as a coping mechanism when vices like the H word and intensive exercise didn't work. I think he wanted to be thought of as strong and handsome and the most popular guy in the room and intelligent. He wanted to be seen as a guy everybody would want to be, and instead he was more like an invisible flower in the corner, a wilted flower, Coffindaffer explained. He started really trying to elevate himself to what he wanted to be seen as, which was a strong, competent, desired person to be around, she continued. But instead of it turning in a positive way, even though he gained some of the attributes he'd hoped to gain, he turned it towards the negative. I believe where he used his new strength and his new confidence in an evil way, and that I think was to really get back at all of those he felt in society turned their back on him. The beautiful girls, the popular boys, and the people that he was invisible to. She referred to Koberger as completely self-absorbed, unable to notice or empathize with anyone in his path, exhibiting a lack of sympathy, lack of empathy, lack of even acknowledgement or notice of what people might be thinking. Like most psychopaths, his entire world was himself. He also like most psychopaths, harbored an uncontrolled rage that he kept deep down inside him. But while Kohlberger didn't fit into society, he will still be able to hide his psychopathic traits when it counted. Coppendiffer said Dr. Catherine Ramsland, Koberger's former professor, who never got any inkling that he would be capable of this, she told News Nation. The fact that he is the purported expert that studies mannerisms and what these individuals act like and do outside of the moment they're committing these crimes, and she was duped, tells to the degree that a psychopath can be dichotomy. She said essentially they can think thinking and feeling one thing on the inside and put on a facade on the outside that doesn't reveal their inner thoughts. Koberger's family dynamics pointed to deeper issues. Coppendaffer argued that behaviors from Koberger's past, especially the relationship that had that he had with his family, indicated issues bubbling beneath the surface. He was deeply disturbed and had tendencies that pointed to criminality, she said, first pointing to crime he committed against his sister that to most might seem trivial. But Coppendaffer noted how Koberger's father turned him into the authorities uh, out for the infraction as opposed to dealing with it internally as a family. When he was younger, Koberger stole his sister's cell phone, Coppendaffer said, which she said might seem minuscule if it weren't for his father looping in the LE. Assuming the family is pretty normal, which his family was, anytime you see crime against another family member, even if it's small like that, that shows somebody who doesn't have empathy for the people he should love the most, she said. Some people might say, yeah, it was a cell phone. Come on, come on, come on, she admitted. But she said it ultimately tells her that there was probably a lot more going on in that household that his father would have turned him in for that. What he did to his sister is just inappropriate. Do kids pranks and do things that aren't nice towards their siblings? Sure, yes, absolutely, she said. But like I said, for the father to turn him in, it told me there was probably much more that went on in that whole household that that was the straw that broke the camel's back. There was actually he was actually turned his son in, she added. So it tells me what else did he do to his sisters? What else did he do to family members? She also referenced a motor vehicle stop that occurred while he was driving through Indiana on his way back to Pennsylvania, where his family lived after the unalivings. But before his arrest, she said the stop offered a small glimpse into his troubled relationship with his father, which she said may have indicated deeper issues with Koberger himself. If you look at how he treated his father, the roles were almost reversed, and actually there was just no respect for his dad. No, basically telling him to hush up in no uncertain terms. That wasn't the exact verbiage, but basically, be quiet, Dad, and hushing him and putting his hand on his leg and controlling him. She said, when I saw even that little detail, that is very inappropriate for a child to act like that towards your father, and it shows lack of respect, lack of moral parent-child relationship. That, when paired with the cell phone theft, are little clues that tell Coffindaffer that Koberger might be more than the eye beholds. Wow. Yeah. All right. So apparently Coffindaffer grew up being an issue with his family. Next, we're going to go to X on Coffindaffer's post, and says, please take note of this account. Welsh woman has previously spread false information about the Idaho 4 case in indicating friends, people in the home, victims, and even Ethan Chapin committed the Idaho 4 unalivings. She has been spewing this nonsense since day one. The same ploy used in the Reed case, by the way. Appalling. I post this in case she pops up on another case with a wild conspiracy theory. She and Mercy Wright were at the helm of this nonsense. Brian Koberger alone unalived Ethan, Maddie, Xana, and Kaylee. He admitted it without hesitation because he was caught dead to rights. Now, I don't know about all that. I'm still on the fence about that, but I believe I saw him admit it. Welsh woman, I guess that's her title. Hunter Chapin was in that house along with Hunter, Johnson, Ethan. In my opinion, protecting Xana from Ethan. That's my strong opinion. Like Ethan did it, that's my thoughts and have always been. I think Brian heard the commotion, entered the house, and tried to save Xana. I do not believe that for one tiny little inkling of a second. Why would he drive all the way from the state of Washington to the state of Idaho because of a commotion in the house at 4 a.m? That don't even make any sense. He tried to save Xana. How ridiculous. I agree. All right. Next, we're going over to the, what do you think about it? My thought is, my question. Now, this is only a thought, it's only a theory, it's only a question. I'm not posting this as fact. So if anybody wants to turn my channel in for posting a question in as fact, you go right ahead because I will strike you yourself. Thank you, Jay, for leaving. Now, it says, my question is, if Koberger wanted attention so bad that he was willing to unalive 4 people, or even Maddie, if his goal was only Maddie, to make first of all, if he'd have gotten away with it, he wouldn't have made an example of her. because there would still be just as many people out there that was shunning him and avoiding him and not even thinking of him as part of the family. So why not do that to himself and get rid of all the tension and the hate and the hurt and whatever, rather than doing it to 4 innocent people? They had nothing to do with it. They were not any part of the cause. It didn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. So next we're going to go over to Sebastian Rogers. And I'm going to pull this up. If you have any more information about Kohberger or questions about Kohberger, please do post them and I will look into it for tomorrow's stream. Okay, so now we're on Sebastian Rogers. I wish I knew how to make it bigger, but I don't know how to zoom it up. Well, I'm sorry, honey. You've been fussing all day. Okay. Casey Blended Balanced Life on X. I don't know who this person is, but she posts something important here. Where's Sebastian Rogers? When somebody threatens to pew you, what should you do immediately? Call LE. Was that done? Prophets need to be legally accountable for threatening people. His house is on a public street in public view. News can show his house. End of story. I agree. Whoever's house it is can. Now this is blurry, but I'm able to read it. Stepfather. I'm guessing he was asked if he was the stepfather. He said, yep. He threatened to pew our news crew Tuesday. Huh. Then went and made threats towards Channel 4 crew. Dang. Why is the news not mentioning anything of these people? That's what I couldn't understand. That's why I started digging. He came out to the roadway today and said, my house better not be on the news tonight. And he did. He came out and told the news people to stop filming his house and it better not be on the news. Now, he lives in the public. What could he do to the news media for posting a picture of his house? They could have just as easily gone on Zillow and gotten a picture of his house and posted the picture off of Zillow, which was public information, and there'd be nothing he could do about it. And then Melanie, justice for Sebastian Rogers. Random demand for Sebastian's return has been ignored by the Sumner County Sheriff Eric Craddock, but he'd like a pay raise anyway. What? July 2nd, 2025, special call budget meeting. He wanted a pay raise, and he hasn't done anything to help find the missing child in his hometown. Okay. This is somebody making shade beat. Guys, drum roll please. Bullhorn Betty is finally going to search for Sebastian Rogers after a year and a half of making bank off his back. Make no mistake, it has nothing to do with Sebastian and everything to do with her hard on for Sumner Sheriff and okay. I'm not going to say that one. But this person is dogging Bullhorn Betty, so I'm not going to go into their thing. But Bullhorn Betty has just as much right to go search for Sebastian. She hasn't been able to because law enforcement has had a restraining order against her, blocking her from being able to even go into Hendersonville. So now that that's lifted and she's cleared of all charges, she can go to Hendersonville. She can, if she wants to, she can walk right up to their door, knock on their door. If they open the door, smack them in the face and say, "You asshole," and walk off. She can. She might go to jail for hitting him in the face, but she could just, if she can skip the smacking him in the face and just call him an a-hole and go on. So, okay. And then Melanie also says, at this point, everything that SCSO has debunked or ignored is a red flag and needs to be thoroughly investigated. This man was identified by the woman on Facebook who alleges his involvement with Sebastian's disappearance. Has he been questioned? The law enforcement said he had nothing to do with it, but I don't know how many content creators with better equipment than I have, because I don't know how to do that stuff, was able to enhance the cell phone that he had in his hand that had Sebastian's picture right there on it. And there's been other theories that it's possible that when he went in to go to the bathroom and then he came out of the bathroom, he stopped in the little alcove before you go out the front door. And that's when Katie and Sebastian left the table. And it's been theorized, not my theory, I didn't say it. I don't have receipts. But other people have said that they think Katie handed off the cell phone and her smartwatch, her Apple Watch, to this guy in the alcove. That's why he walked out the door in front of them. And then after she started to back out of the parking place, and he was waiting for the food pickup, he looked up at the cell phone, and that's when we all had the opportunity to see the cell phone. That's what I believe. That's what I'm going to continue to believe. I don't know it to be fact. Okay? Okay. And Chloe said, I can't get this sweet boy off my mind tonight as the winds howl outside here in Tennessee. Sebastian Rogers loved to hide in small places. He loves water, to fish, and the song Eye of the Tiger. He is autistic and typically doesn't like to sleep at night, so searchers are hoping their efforts through the night will be successful. If you're a praying person, pray. Okay, that was in February 2024. So, I mean, yeah, I wish they'd go out and do night searches right now. But I don't know that it's ever going to happen. Okay, and the next one is from Just a Girl Who Loves Frogs, also on X. I'm on the wrong one. Screen. All right, this is Just a Girl Who Loves Frogs, and it's at Mountain Dew Girl 78, so I'm guessing she likes Mountain Dew. Okay, it says, Sebastian TBI investigates FBI most wanted. Dog the bounty hunter. Katie owns statement. My battery on my tablet is about to die. Sebastian took trash out on the evening of February 25th, 2024. Fact, the K9 handler scent dogs did not pick up a scent of Sebastian on the driveway. If he had taken the trash out, his scent would have been either on the trash can or on the driveway. It would have. Jennifer Coffendaffer says, your daughter just got a great job after attending college. She decided to go back to the college she attended to see friends before moving across the country. The next thing you know, you are informed your daughter, only 21 years old, is unalived. Then you read the autopsy and see photos. Your gorgeous daughter was beaten about the head and face and then poked to death multiple times with a K-bar knife. You never see her again. The monster who beat and poked her takes a plea. He receives life without parole. You know he will read books, feel the sun on his face, receive and write love letters back and forth with his sick, misguided throng of fans, enjoy food, receive medical, eye, and dental care, watch TV, tell his story over and over again. You know the last face your beautiful daughter saw was his maniacal mud. She thought, my thoughts and prayers are with the Gonzalez family. I completely see where they are coming from. My apologies to all four families. I just, ouch. I just can't see how he did that. I don't know why. I mean, I know what I'm being told is why. Jennifer says, why did Brian Koberger do that? We can only theorize until he decides to tell us. Perhaps this is why. And then she posted to her mirror story, the one I read first. That's what that was. I don't know how I got into Brian Koberger when I was supposed to be doing Sebastian Rogers. I guess it's because it was on the same page. So anyway, church, please, that hurts. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we're going to go to Sweetie Pilo, also here on X. Church, please. Please. Okay. Now we're going to go to Sweetie Pilo. And she says, does this post further corroborate Lights? Okay, now we're back on Sebastian, okay? Lights that Nick Barris backpedaled on. What do you think? Find Sebastian Rogers. Anonymous member, the agent asked me and a neighbor a few doors down if anyone in my family had requested an Uber ride Monday night. I said, no, we've never been in an Uber. However, I work for Uber Eats, she said. Did you go to work Monday? I said, no. With everything going on that night, I didn't feel comfortable leaving. She said, it would have been early Monday morning, like before the sun came up. I said, oh, then no, I only work at night. She said, it was an Uber, not Uber Eats. I said, no, that's when I knew an Uber car had been on our road. So I asked the neighbors on another road in the neighborhood. They said they did not receive a call, but my neighbor a few doors down had the exact same call and questioned a neighbor on the corner of our connecting streets. She said she didn't get the call, but she had seen the lights, the one on Nick Barris's report, on her camera going toward Kellen Lane, and she could see car lights shining across their driveway when backing up to leave. That was around 4 a.m. Okay, go. So, church, please. So, yeah. Okay, and this is the one we read from Melanie earlier. Now, we're going to go to another one on Sebastian Rogers. All right. This is from K. McIntyre, SMED. I've been pursuing YouTube for Sebastian Rogers' live stream. It is quickly becoming a cold case, I suppose. Bring in Chris Donna, when then I saw Lolly and Smiley are still talking about him. Thank you, ladies. Every day I wake up and check TBI's website for information. Nada. Anyone? Anyone? So she's thinking everybody's forgotten. Now, I've got Sebastian Rogers on mine today, and that was before I had already planned this before I even saw her post. And uh, on the 4th of July, the mob crew did Sebastian Rogers. Bullhorn Betty's still doing Sebastian Rogers. And um, let's see, I think AWBJ did something on Sebastian Rogers last week. I'm not going to swear on it. I don't know for a fact, but I think she did. So, yeah, people are still talking about Sebastian Rogers. They're still talking about Sebastian Rogers. And if it's a cold case and nobody wants to talk about Sebastian Rogers, why are the YouTube streets still divided? Green team against, ouch. Why are they still divided? If Sebastian Rogers is no longer, according to this person, a part of the equation, why are the streets still divided? It doesn't make sense. Okay. One moment, please. Hold, please. Sorry, I had to go ask my son to take care of church. My hands hurt so bad from him sitting here biting me. Okay, now we're going to go to Dylan X. All right, we're going to go to Jennifer Coffindaffer. Where are 20? Water rose 26 feet in 45 minutes in the early morning hours. People were asleep. They were overcome with little to no warning. Over 20 young girls who were camping there are still missing. This is where they were camping there in Texas. This is inside there. It was a church camp. There were plenty of warnings. Even me here in Puerto Rico knew something was developing in Texas. I'm a weather geek. There a post here summarizing all the warnings. 4th of July, people did not hear. Okay, a church camp is not going to be watching the weather channel. Okay? A church camp is not going to be watching. I don't watch. If there was a flood in my town, well, there actually was. Last month, twice our town flooded. Twice. Our lake here in Nowhereville, Kansas, is completely full and running over. It was running over the spillway. It's not anymore. We were flooded all the way. I'm going to say about a mile up 400 on both sides of 400 up to the outside of town. They closed off some streets here in town, and nobody knew. I live up on a hill. Everybody knows I live up on a hill. The water was rushing so far down and it was rushing through my RV garage and down into the streets. My neighbor actually called the city on me and sent the city out to my house like it was my fault our street was flooding. The city showed up here at my house. I put it on video. You can go back and look. But they were blaming me for it. I had to build a retaining wall to keep the mud and water from coming in my RV garage and ruining all the stuff I have stored in there for sale. It was terrible. I had no idea it was going to happen. I was told there would be a tornado coming through. I wasn't told there would be floods. So, yeah, this Carlos person, what they're told in Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico is over in Mexico. It's not in Texas. Now, I understand Texas and Mexico are bordering areas, but what happens in Puerto Rico is not necessarily going to happen in Midwest Texas. I'm sorry. And then Jennifer Coffindaffer goes on to another story, which the Barry Morphew story, I don't know anything about, so I'm not going to go into this. So if somebody would like me, I can research it, but I don't know anything about the story. All right, and then to continue with the flooding, Jennifer Coffindaffer, now 27, reported deceased in Texas floods. 9 deceased are children. 27 girls now reporting missing from the summer camp. I will keep everybody posted. Pray for Texas. Look at this. This house is nearly flooded. This car is up on top of something. There's a lady up in the tree. I'm presuming it's a lady up in this tree. There's people on boats trying to get to help people out. I saw one picture somewhere, I don't remember where, of a person that was, see, look, 4 minutes, this is the street. 4 minutes later, it looked like this. 4 minutes. You could walk on the street and then you were flooded away. But I saw one video, I don't remember where I saw it, but it was of a house that was floating and the people were still inside the house. I guess it was a mobile home or something. And the people were still inside with flashlights and they could be seen through their open door as their house was floating away. I don't know where I saw it, but okay. Okay. Now, this one is going to trigger warning for everybody. I do not in any way, I don't want to say condone because I don't agree with this. Let's put it this way. I do not agree with what I'm about to read. Okay, so it triggers me. I'll put it that way. Trigger warning because it triggers me. All right, this is from Just a Girl Who Loves Frog. She says, wow, I hope of all you rot in H for saying such horrible things. Okay, so this tells you right there, Just a Girl Who Loves Frogs is not, she was triggered as well. Okay? And this says, Miss Butters, Rojo, Texas, what you gonna do? There's no FEMA to pick you up by your bootstraps. They gave it all to ICE. Okay? Juca, Texas deserves every flood God has spoken and hates Texas. Now, why would you blame our Heavenly Father for some? I know He controls the weather, don't get me wrong, but He didn't make the flood, in my opinion, to punish anybody in Texas. Please. Usurp the chef. Usurp the chef. I don't know what that is. I'm kind of happy that the National Weather Service gave incorrect predictions when it came to how much rain would fall, especially since the best and brightest from that organization were let go due to Doge, Elon, and Trump. Texas deserves the flooding. No, they don't. No, they don't. Samurai Barbie, I'm sorry, cry harder. Texas deserves it. I don't believe that. It's not awful. It's what Texas deserves. No, it is not what. Oh my goodness. Ron Flipkowski. The people in Texas voted for government service controlled by Donald Trump and Greg Abbott. That's exactly what they're getting. That has nothing to do with the flooding. Good, I'm glad. Did it take Rogan with it too? I can only hope. Texas deserves it. It's God's will, of course. That's what God would have wanted. Right, Republicans? Ha ha ha. My empathy for these rednecks, reject states is zero. So F them. I hope more comes. Let's start the hurricane. How can people be so hateful? Here was Greg Abbott's chance to look intelligent. Instead, he starts by invoking our Father. Our Father may not exist. If he does, he sent the flooding, and if there's any place that deserves it, it's H-Hole, Texas. That just makes me mad. Now, I never lost anything in Texas. Don't get me wrong. It's not a place I'd want to go live. I visited Texas several times and down Fort Worth, Dallas area. Um, it's a real pretty area down there. And the people I've met down there are kind. I don't see, I don't know why the flooding happened. Apparently there was a reason. Don't get me wrong. But could it have been the levees broke? Could it have been poor management from engineers from 20 years ago when they built the levees? Could it have been that there was a dam somewhere that was backed up that just caused the flooding to start? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why this flooding happened. I'm sorry that the people were devastated or lost their lives from it, but nobody deserves it. In my opinion, nobody deserves it. So, that being said, thank you for being here. Do something nice for someone, even if it's be the reason they smile, and get Locker. I'll see you tomorrow.